Hey, this is Patrick Curtis, CEO and founder of wallstreetoasis. Today we have another great chat with Tudor. Tudor was a junior when he joined WSO Academy, so he had completely missed on-cycle recruiting for investment banking. He actually didn't even know he wanted to do investment banking until kind of later in his sophomore year, so it was really unfortunate timing. He was able to get some Big Four internships back in Romania, where his family's originally from. But listen to exactly how his whole story played out in terms of how he was able to stack internships and, more importantly, kind of what he leveraged inside the program to help him finally land in investment banking. Enjoy. All right, Tudor, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Well, thank you very much.
It'd be great if you could just give the listeners kind of a short summary bio of your background.
Right. I was born in Queens, New York. I'm a first generation American, born to Romanian parents. But I've kind of grown up all over the place, Europe, US. I did my last 2 years of high school in China, a full scholarship. Um, and there I really got interested in kind of economics. And then I chose to do economics as a major in college at Trinity College in Connecticut. And over the over the years, starting from freshman year, I've kind of interacted more and more with businesses, and then kind of leaning into finance. I started working with some startups, working on the financial side, kind of creating their presentation, et cetera. And now, um, over the time, I moved to consulting, and then towards research, equity research, and now an investment banking spring internship. And investment banking had been the goal for quite some time, but I kind of it seems I've taken my time to get my foot in the door, but it has finally happened. I'm quite happy about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations. I know it hasn't been an easy road to get there. Talk to me a little bit about kind of when you first came to Trinity. Did you know, like, hey, for sure, this is what I want to do? Do I want to do banking? Or like, was it even on your radar, or was it something that, you thought, hey, I'll start applying for junior summer internships?
It
It's,
was not on my radar at first, freshman year. I would say later on I got more interested as I surrounded myself with people that
Mhm.
um, were going into this field. And
Yeah,
I think what really struck the chord was when I did my study abroad program at the London School of Economics, and being in London, financial hub, being surrounded by a lot of people who wanted to do investment banking, and being at LSE, I had a lot more resources at my disposal. I mean, we had Larry Fink coming in for a talk, we had
cool.
prime ministers coming in, and so that exposure motivated me to apply and then to join uh, Wall Street Oasis and try to get my foot in the door. I knew I was late, but it was
Hey,
not on my radar from the.
you joined us when? Was it junior year? It was like early junior year, or
It was junior. It was mid junior year.
yeah.
It was
I remember our
December.
conversation where I said this
Yes.
is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think you were pretty motivated. I think you had the right mentality in the sense of, yeah, I know it's junior year. I know I'm not at a super target. I'm ready to grind kind of mentality. And so I think that's what gave us confidence that you'd be able to do it. And so talk to me a little bit about kind of what had you been doing kind of before you came into WSO Academy? Like, was it more just like networking, one off here and there? Were you upperclassmen? Talk to me a little bit about that.
I was doing kind of prep a little bit, but I was a little disoriented about how to do the prep. We don't have that many. We have a investment club as many colleges do, but I don't think we had an investment banking section of someone to really mentor um, students who were interested in that field. And so I was trying to follow some advice, some general advice. I was attending some of the networking small sessions that we had at Trinity College. But before going to LSE, I did not really have um, access to a lot of meetings. So then at LSE, I started to go into all of these kind of small conventions. We had a lot of financial institutions in London coming to LSE, and that was something I hadn't experienced before. Being able to interact with a lot of recruiters in person.
Hmm.
Um, I was trying to apply to a lot of internships, but maybe I wasn't as focused. Maybe I didn't know exactly how to do it, where to start. And I think that WSO really helped me organize a lot more. Um, and I mean, I had my doubts about whether I would be able to make use of all the resources and time and to get that internship. But I had a mentor, Tim, that I worked with for a long time, and he was very yeah, it was very motivating talking to him. I think he has that kind of motivational spirit that he passes along to his students, and I like that.
Yeah, Tim's great.
Yeah,
Tim's great. He's been with us since the beginning for a long time. So he's he's mentored hundreds of kids. But talk to me a little bit about like looking at your LinkedIn and your CV and everything. You had a lot of internships. Like you did a lot kind of to try and build the CV. Talk to me a little bit about like what I guess for lack of a better term, internship stacking. So because you
right.
were doing stuff like I can kind of see a transition where like in 2023 there's like a little more consulting and then you did like a virtual insight series at Goldman, but then you started like doing in Romania you started kind of getting some internships with like deal and valuation, due
Mhm.
diligence internships,
Right.
PwC, E&Y, which I think were probably really important for you in terms of branding. So talk to me a little bit about that.
They were. I know that a lot of um, can I say, power of getting a job or getting an internship comes from being able to network. But I think that I had a couple of things that maybe were standing a little bit in my way. Um, Not knowing a lot of people, kind of applying as a domestic student, but coming from abroad, having a little bit of an accent. And I know
Everyone
that,
assumed you needed a visa. Is that what you're saying?
well, they still do,
Yeah.
unfortunately. At interviews, I still get questioned several times, and I've had some talks with some of the intermediaries from my school about why is it that I'm still getting, I get the question on the form, oh, are you a US citizen? And I say yes, and then I get the same questions on the interview, and then it's kind of like why does that still happen? Is it because of my name? Is it because of the accent? What exactly? Is it because of the Romanian internships? But
Yeah.
it was kind of easier to get those internships at first,
Yeah.
particularly because there isn't such a system in place as there is in the US. And I think that usually it's master students who apply for internships, and it's not that many. There are not that many students who apply for internships at the Big Four, and so I was able to get my foot in the door. They're
That's
easier.
that's through
Um,
networking. Like you were just using LinkedIn. Were you how are you finding those people to kind of network with?
well, they were living. So the EY and PwC are kind of closely situated next to where I used to live in Romania or where
Hmm.
my parents used to live.
Hmm.
And so I was there on summer and my dad was like, why don't you just go over and ask a couple of questions if you can get some to talk to someone. So that kind of led to one thing and another and um, to to the internships. But I then I guess struggled with justifying why I did a junior internship and a sophomore internship in Romania.
Hmm.
There are a couple of factors that kind of played into that. One of them being in London and LSE finishing in June, mid June. Some of the other internships starting already, trying to apply for internships in the UK, but then having a problem with the visa because it would expire
Yep.
before the end of August, and so a lot of I don't know, as a U.S. student trying to apply for that
Yeah,
summer internship.
do you recommend that? Do you recommend going abroad? Like, because it kind of can mess up your
It
internship.
can.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about that decision.
I would say um, I definitely don't regret it from an academic perspective. I've never had better professors, better exposure
Yeah.
to great professors and heads of states, all kinds of events. I mean, that was a very that was a great experience. But I would say is to pick it carefully. I think it very much depends. Some Oxford, for example, Cambridge. Cambridge offers half a year, so you could go from fall to uh, um, to winter and then just stay there. And I think you could still get a great experience. I think it's very much it depends on what you want to get out of it as a student. Um, but I was giving a scholarship, and probably I thought, well, this is great. And I had that was I'd gotten in before I did my internship at PwC my sophomore year. So I had gotten a kind of a year before
Yeah.
into LSE, and so I said yes, got a scholarship. I was very excited. So I think it depends, and I would probably recommend to really take into consideration when the internships will start,
Yeah.
and whether or not it would interfere in any way with your ability to partake in an internship.
Yeah.
I guess some of the boutiques might start later, but you really have to know about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you apply anywhere in London at all or try at all?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Yes.
Emails. I did. I used the WSO kind of email structure. I talked with Tim. I sent out hundreds. I got a couple of replies, but it seemed kind of weird because a lot of them were saying, "Oh, you could join us off cycle," and then I said, "Well,
Yeah. You're like, I'm back in school.
yeah."
Yeah.
uh, but a lot of non-responses. And as far as I know, I don't know of anyone who went with me to LSE who then got a summer internship
It's very rare.
without having someone in the family or some family friends. So I don't. So most of them did not go any.
You ended up there and then you continued. You did another internship kind of off cycle during at an equity research
Yeah.
firm. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what was your thought process? I assume you're thinking, hey, if my GPA I can keep my GPA high enough while doing this internship, was it a lot of hours or was it pretty lax?
It was decent.
Yeah.
I did go in person a lot. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, now I have some experience working with financial statements. I have done two internships at Big Four. I think something more leaning towards investment banking. And I kind of asked, well, this is an internship that works, I would work in equity research. Would that be something that could be applied to investment banking? And it was like, yes, well, it would be kind of a little bit of a curveball, but it's still within the range,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you can still kind of pivot, especially if you're doing an internship there and not work full time for a couple of years. So just an internship would work very well. And I think I really wanted to get those US internships in finance. I think that would have been, that was my goal all along, trying to get my foot in the door, trying to prove that, okay, I've done internships in the US, because having done, a lot of internships also abroad, it might have, raised some eyebrows as to why exactly the US, why do you want to come back here? Why do you work here? But I think those really helped kind of pave the road
Yeah,
for,
for sure. I
um,
mean, I think you stacked interest really, really extremely impressively, like well, like you got one, two, and then now obviously you're broke into investment banking internship at long last.
mm,
Who did it? Talk to me a little bit
yes.
about that, how you landed that one. Because I know you were with us for a while. I think you did a talk to me a little bit about the networking, like just the total numbers of places. Because you said, oh, I sent a couple hundred emails in London, but like overall, was it like how many LinkedIn connection requests, how many interviews, how many first rounds, second rounds, all that stuff? Because you were late. There was no standard process here. This was just like I need to go after the boutiques,
Mhm.
right? So talk to me a little bit
Yeah.
about like just the numbers overall.
Well, I would say that I started off probably at around to 150 to 200 before coming to WSO, and now I'm at 900 on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, and those are all the ones that accepted. So,
Yeah.
so
You can do the
we're
math, 3,000-ish connection
yeah,
requests, something like that.
yes, a lot of messages, a lot of coffee chats that sometimes worked well, led to, hey, you could talk to this person,
Hmm.
and sometimes just no response, sometimes you know, just didn't go well.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking to Tim, and he said, just keep. And I talked to you as well. I messaged you, and he said, just keep adding the numbers. Just don't worry. Don't focus too much on how many. Don't let it
Yeah.
get in your way. Don't look at the number. Just keep reaching out.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was going for everyone. Boutique, big bank, even if the deadline had passed, I would still go for those. I would still talk to them.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I would still
Well,
take every
those
opportunity.
connections may pay off for you down the
Yeah,
road. Let's say eventually if you go buy side or anywhere else, corp dev, M&A, in 10 years, you could be like, oh, I remember our
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah.
8 years ago. I remember you, right? So it's cool that you have that kind of wide base, that wide network and foundation now for you kind of in the next, as you launch your career. So yeah, so talk to me a little bit about like, was it tough to get into this like boutique bank or was it more like, hey, you just spoke to the right person?
Um, I think it was something that it was hard in terms of kind of I didn't know what to expect from the interview process because it wasn't an interview process that I'd done before. It was a case study. So they just sent me a bunch of documents, said, do a, you know, do this presentation. Here you go.
Yeah.
From scratch. Here's a deadline.
Mhm.
And this is what we want. Um, and it was pretty hard because I had to do a lot less. I had to crunch down a lot of numbers into just a couple of slides.
Yeah.
And they said we want a very good overview. So I think that was kind of a test to see um, how well I would do. And generally, I think I spoke to you and I spoke to Tim about this, is that boutiques usually require you to come in with a lot more knowledge. So I think having that previous experience really helped.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I do know it's off cycle, but I mean I moved around my classes. I'm a senior, so I moved around my classes. I have a lot less classes this term, and
Is it
I
long
think
out?
that
Is it long hours? Are you working long
it
hours?
was it was yesterday until 5 a.m.
Oh my
Trying
gosh.
to, but that was because they're working also with a French company somehow.
Yeah.
Uh, and I just had to look over the financials, and it was all in French. So I spent a couple of hours just trying to. I mean, I did study French, but I did not do financial statements in French,
Yeah.
so that was kind of a challenge trying to go through them.
That,
Um,
that's cool.
but yeah, I do like it. It is very fast paced. It is working on multiple deals at once, on multiple stages, and I kind of get to experience how it is to work in a small boutique. I kind of enjoy that. Get a lot more FaceTime associates. Kind of ask them, my associates who did my interview and then who kind of took me on the job. Who said, "Well, don't get too chummy. Just try and help out wherever you can." Because I was asking, "Oh, should I ask the other ones for like little talks, coffee chats, or anything?" He's like, "Yeah, don't get too chummy. Just ask where you can help." I think
Just execute. Just
that's
execute. Now you're
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
hilarious. That's hilarious. So yeah, so talk to me a little bit about just like looking back over this, like your path. Obviously, it was in an easy one. You coming in kind of junior year, mid junior year. Talk to me a little bit
mhm.
about like looking back. Would you have changed? What would you have changed? And then any advice for kind of students that might be in a similar spot to you?
um, well, what have I changed? I think it is quite difficult to think I could have done a lot of things differently just because I wasn't that interested in investment banking, early on. I think that a lot of students who then end up going to some bigger ones start out freshman year with the idea of wanting to work in investment banking. I have someone on my swimming team at college who, in their freshman year said, "Well, I want to do asset management," and then are looking for internships. One of them has a sophomore one at BCG in Philly, but still, that is great. I didn't have that idea in mind
Yep.
freshman year. But I would say is the skills that you learn even for these jobs, just the doing the academy, doing the courses. I think that helps a lot. Just prep. I think there's nothing wrong with even if you choose later on not to go into finance. I think that I would say I would recommend it more than ever to in that freshman, sophomore year, summer, sit down, do a couple of courses,
Mhm.
try to build up that foundation, try to figure out how you would build up your CV, kind of get in, do a plan. It's very similar to kind of I would say some of the students from Romania that I've encountered who are at Ivy Leagues, they kind of started working very early with an idea in mind that they wanted to go to an Ivy, and so activities, internships, projects, all around that idea of going to an Ivy League. And I think it's the same mentality should be applied to wanting to get into investment banking or any big finance role. It is about having an idea, having a plan, and if any students, any student does not have a good idea about what they want to do, I would still recommend doing those courses. There's nothing wrong with being good at Excel or knowing how to do presentations or how to network. So all of those skills are very important, even if you end up working in a different field, even if it's engineering. But still, those skills are very important, and they will pave the way for anyone a lot better than waiting until junior year, midsummer. And for the people who are in the similar situation, I would still say don't give up. It sounds very mundane and it sounds probably very repetitive, but it's just keep applying, keep reaching out to people. You never know when that person might give you an opportunity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily be scared away from, if there is an off-cycle kind of internship in the area in finance, even if it's equity research and want to do investment banking, I would still recommend taking it. I know that there's this fear of action that I encountered. I was maybe too scared to, what if I reach out to someone and all of a sudden they hit me with some very hard technicals and I don't know. I've had that. And honestly, it's kind of important to get that exposure because those are the kind of interactions that you might face on the job where somebody will just, I've had an experience at a job where they said, well, you did not meet expectations. And I was like, well, like I thought I'd done my best. And it's like, yeah, well, standards are very high here, so we want you to do very well. And I think that kind of builds that armor around you that you will carry on later on in the jobs that you do and the work that you do.
For sure, yeah. I think it's kind of reality check early on for a young for a young person who thinks, "Oh, I got this," I have good grades, and then suddenly they get thrown into the real world and realize this is very different from class, right? And so, yeah, the stuff you said about being late and taking off cycle internships and just getting experiences, I think is really important. The fact that you were able to kind of stack so many internships in such a short period of time, I think is one of the main reasons why you ended up having such success. So congratulations.
Thank
And
you very much.
yeah, hopefully we can stay in touch. Hopefully I can help you. And hopefully you're not just chugging coffee and to stay awake the rest of your you can enjoy your senior year a little bit. Yeah.
They sent me another DCF just now
Okay.
to look at. So
be careful what you wish for out there. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Tudor. Let us know if there's anything else we
So
can do, obviously, as you kind of approach graduation.
yes, thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Talk to you.
Bye bye.